The first is that I believe, and I think others who are, more thoughtful than I, that the life sciences revolution is the most important revolution in the history of man. Because what's more important than re-engineering life? Today, we stand before with the folks whose entrepreneurship and spirit and creativity and resilience taught us what the genetic structure of being human is, gave us tools to change the human genome, gave us the possibility to change the path our family has genetically to cure diseases that were unimaginable to treat even 20 or 30 years ago. So the first is just this extraordinary flowering of amazing science, fantastic entrepreneurs, deep, rich capital markets, kind of in a way the best of what we imagine America to be. It reimagines the future and generously shares the benefits of that with the world. Uh, on the other hand, we live in a very polarized society, and there are those who really seem to take pleasure out of dividing us and finding, the United States was along a fairly united country. We had differences of opinion, but nothing like we were experiencing right now. And I was looking to tell stories that would unite us. And, walk into the next room where you sit down and ask the 20 people or 10 people there, put their hand up if they're pro-cancer or pro-Alzheimer's or pro-ALS. And once we realize that we don't have to be the enemies of one another, we've got plenty of things to work on together. And curing diseases is certainly a very uniting force. It felt that to me, telling stories in this space could remind us of the extraordinary things we can do when we work together.
That's a fantastic motivation, and it's absolutely true. It always feels like the scientific community is like this set apart piece, because scientists always understand that no matter what the politics, no matter what where you're from, who you are, what's going on, you sometimes need to work together.
You tell me how you feel about it, Alex. But for me, boy born in one room, dirt floor house, no water, no power, to parents who haven't been to middle school, finished middle school, so severely dyslexic he can't fully read, journeys to win the Nobel Prize in medicine and change the world. It's a pretty uplifting tale. Um, and
Absolutely.
and it's a very kind of uh, it reminds us of the best parts of being Americans. And
Absolutely.
America has something to show to the rest of the world because, the rest of the world is not interested in abandoning science. So we're 4% of the world right now, and we've been an extraordinarily productive and effective 4%. But the rest of the world is learning. And, you and I would, if Alzheimer's cure came from somebody in Japan or France, we would take it because we don't want to have Alzheimer's. So we're interested in science coming from the rest of the world. But it's a great American story. Phil Sharp is an amazing American.
How amazing is it that you wanted to tell the story about life sciences, about bioengineering, and it all kind of flowers from this one guy.
Yeah.
His team is, standing on the shoulders of others, of course, but like he is this kind of next point where you can kind of look to him and say, this is the moment where it all changed.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the founders of this extraordinary revolution are still with us. It's as if we could interview and make a documentary about Thomas Jefferson. And,
Yeah. Oh,
who-
yeah.
what an amazing privilege it would be and how much we would learn.
Yeah. And that's the other incredible thing. And a great reason to be telling this now is because we have that access. It's so much more powerful to be able to hear it from the person.
I think the other thing is that the economic impact, cultural impact of this is really extraordinary. Phil Sharp begins, there's no employees and there's no patients taking a biotech medicine. Last year, there were 4.2 million employees and there were 7.6 billion people on Earth took a biotech medicine. That's a big economic story. That's a big sociocultural story. And of course, there are those who are concerned that some of this extraordinary, the foundation of this is being taken apart right now. It's a very unusual time in the United States. And remembering the things that got us to be the most powerful country on earth isn't a bad idea.
Was there a point at all where you had kind of a wow moment. Like you learned something or something clicked, and there was just this kind of, oh my God,
I think
this is amazing.
the moment was when I was talking to Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson is, as you know, probably the foremost chronicler of genius, right? He wrote on Ben Franklin, he wrote on Einstein, he wrote on Da Vinci, he wrote on Steve Jobs, he wrote on Henry Kissinger. He is the biographer of genius. And the first question I asked him is genius born or made? He said, of course it's made. I said, what about the finger of God, right? Like the Leonardo's the finger of God. And he said, well, it's made of character. It's made of it's made of curiosity. It's made of the ability to simultaneously and somewhat paradoxically compete and collaborate, often with the same people. It's made of resilience, just the ability to fail and struggle and fail and struggle and fail and struggle and fail and struggle. And sooner or later, it's made of the ability to be an outsider and without celebrating being an outsider, also without losing the comfort in being an outsider, accept the fact that you see something differently and be willing to pursue it to its logical conclusions. And of course, I find that it's very empowering to think that a lot of these are within our grasp, and it's not the finger of God touches somebody in the forehead and they get to do amazing things, and the rest of us, our job is to help them. So in some way, Phil Sharp's story, and of course, these four other Nobel Prize winners who are in the film, are examples of people who just had enough grit to keep pushing. I was surprised and delighted and a little intimidated by that, I think.
In making this, do you, now that you've got the whole picture, do you feel like you're able to wrap your head around the science a little bit? How well do you feel like, obviously, not to contribute at all, but like, do you feel like you kind of have an understanding of it at least?
It's I guess the short answer is yes, but I have a cheat, which is, I'm most of my life I'm a tech entrepreneur. So I started my first company when I was 18, and I've been doing startups for 45 years. And I run two biotech companies now, although that's a new field for me. So I'm sort of studying to catch up a lot of the time. And even having said that, I don't think I understand all the science. And one of the fun things about this is Phil Sharp doesn't think he understands all the science either. There's a new frontier at every moment, which is kind of exciting. And I think a lot of the reason that people are interested in the sciences, that they are an adventure, an intellectual adventure, and they've been, they've been at the cornerstone of being American. The Constitution doesn't give you freedom of speech and doesn't give you freedom of religion and doesn't give you the right to bear arms in the original draft. That's all in the Bill of Rights. That's 10 years later. But the Constitution did celebrate inventors. The rights to copyright and patents are in the Constitution itself. And the founders, the drafting committee for the Declaration of Independence includes two inventors. Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson are both quite celebrated inventors. So I think that this notion of, we don't know the edge of the science, we know some, but not enough. We're trying to look at more. It's very central to who we are as a people.
That's true. And something that I got through the film was that Phil Sharp, anytime he brought something to market, anytime he succeeded in getting something done, it was like, oh, okay, what's next? It's okay. What else can we do with this? What else is, there's always this next horizon, and it's that genius drive to get there.
You couldn't be more right, man. You picked it up completely. You're absolutely right. He's 80 years old and he's accelerating. What a fantastic, wouldn't we all like to be accelerating at 80 years old?